Hello, I am Iona, I'm from Stormrage, and this is a Fury Warriors tutorial for the ICC patch. It's mainly for my own guild because of our raid setup and to help warriors just maximize as much DPS as possible, but it's on YouTube so everyone might be able to learn something from this. To start off with, here's the tree I'm using. Now I'm currently just learning something, well not learning, researching something really, which is Enrage. Now just ignore that for now. Basic setup: armored to the teeth, 3 out of 3, cruelty 5 out of 5, obvious reasons. I use Unbridled Wrath because I use Rend. I need to get rage back as fast as possible. Glyph, obviously for some fights, Marigar for example, for the spikes, that's a lot of damage increase. Dual wield specialization, Death Wish. I would normally have 3 out of 3 precision, but I'm on 6% at the moment hits from items, so I only need 2, and that's why I'm practicing Enrage. Now, improved Berserker Rage. The reason I get that is because having 100 Rage going straight into an encounter is much better than having 0. So I'd recommend getting that. Flurry 5 out of 5, obvious reasons. Bloodthirst, Intensify Rage 3 out of 3. Whirlwind 2 out of 2. Improved Berserk Stance 5 out of 5. Blood Surge 3 out of 3. Rampage 1 out of 1. And then Fury 5 out of 5. And Titan's Grip 1 out of 1. Now if you do have any spare points, Heroic Fury possible, because it can become useful. And yeah, that's basically it. You may want to get Commanding Presence because of your raid setup and Booming Voice, but you just have to play around with those, depends on your raid setup. In the arms tree, I've got Improved Rend because I am using Rend. Improved Heroic Strike, Iron Will, less time being stunned, more DPS. Tactical Mastery, because I'm rending obviously. Impale, Deep Wounds, and two-handed weapon specialization. The Glyphs, Heroic Strike, because I am spamming that most of the time. Cleaving, because I am cleaving. And Whirlwind, because that's your main source of damage. Battle, because sometimes 10 mans, saves, the minors don't really matter really. And the extra 2 minutes just gets rid of that little annoyance. Enduring Victory, spikes for example, you are going to proc Victory Rush, so I would recommend getting that. It's 10k damage easy now in ICC. And Blood Rage, just hit saves losing health really. That's the basic glyphs and warrior talents, to be honest. I said that it is a research one, so don't fully copy this. And Rage has procced quite a few times off in ICC, so I'll be able to update the tutorial with whether that's worth getting. This is the gear that I'm using at the moment. As you can see, I'm over the ARP soft cap, but that's only because I was Deathbringer as well, hasn't dropped in God knows how long, and I thought I'd have it by now, but yeah. And that's the only reason why I'm above that. If you want really are maximizing, just make sure you hit the soft cap with your trinket proc. So as I'm ARP soft caps, don't expect like absolutely 6 DPS meters, even though you can see that one there, but general gear, hit 6.22, expertise 6.25, doesn't really matter that it's 0.25 below. Leather is always worth getting, by the way. They are your best in slot in ICC 25, and obviously I need some more badge stuff like the belt and cloak. But yep, that's generally my gear. Shadow's Edge, Quick Maker. There you go. So the basic prioritization is Whirlwind, Bloodthirst, Slam and Execute. Now you only use Execute if you have enough rage generation, and you get enough rage generation when you're getting damage, i.e. AoE damage, like Vestigut. Now, as I said, this is basic and not the full rotation to maximize your DPS. This should be learnt first, and you should be able to achieve 8 to 9k DPS in ICC 10 gear and badge stuff with this rotation. If you can't, then I would recommend before adding Rend to the rotation, learning and performing this rotation as best as possible, as this is your main source of DPS. Now if you know the basic rotation, Rend is your next step. Rending in the rotation is a DPS increase, although it may not look or feel like it. With a perfect rending rotation I've achieved 200-300 DPS increase, and as we're trying to max our DPS, every little counts. However, it is very hard to master. I'm still learning to master it as well, so it's not something you can learn in a day or very quickly. Now to begin with, I would only rend when Blood Rage is available, due to the fact when you switch stance you lose all your rage, and that's a problem. So what you would do is you would switch stances, rend, switch back, hit Blood Rage and continue as normal. Another time is constant incoming damage. Most of ICC fights have incoming damage, so Fester Goat, Lich King to some extent, the perfect rend fights, just practice as much as you can. To achieve your 8 to 9k DPS that I said before, which is minimum, especially in ICC with the damage buff, you need your weapon cooldown spells, which are Heroic Strike and Cleave. Now, Cleave's obviously multiple mobs, so it's your base judgment. If there's more than one mob, then use Glyph, because your DPS will be more. And obviously, if, like on Lich King, where tank needs to get them, don't use it, especially in our raid setup, because we have a billion melee. And Heroic Strikes are usually a single target. They are counted as rage dumps, but most fights you won't need to rage. Well, you will be rage dumping constantly because you're getting so much rage. 10-mans is a bit harder, especially on Sourfang, for example, where there's little damage incoming. You do have to manage your rage there. And rage management is the key to a warrior. If you know how much rage you're going to be using and how much you're going to get, then your DPS will greatly improve. Apart from them, you've also got Victory Rush, which will proc off spikes and other adds that you might kill during ICC. It's a 10k damage spell, so if you've got a spare cooldown, it's well worth it. That's why I've also got the Minor Glyph, just to increase its duration of being active. Heroic Throw, every time you get free global cooldown, whack that one in, especially if you're ARP capped. I mean, you're talking 15-16k hit with that. And Shattering Throw as well. When heroism procs, if you find a space in your rotation, now I say a space, some people say do it as soon as, but if you do it in a space in your rotation, you should get one. Like, just do Whirlwind Blood first, one slam. If 2 proc, then just do one anyway. Switch, Shattering Throw. Try and get a rend in as well. If spam rend as you switch. If you don't get it off, you don't get it off, And then you come back and carry on your rotation with Shattering Throw. But that does help the raid DPS more than your own, so the whole point is to kill the boss as a raid rather than by yourself. So make sure it's macroed as well. Min-maxing. Basically, AoE rotation first. Cleave and Whirlwind are on separate cooldowns, as I've said previously. So weapon cooldown for Cleave and spell for Whirlwind. Basically, as you're spamming your Cleave button like crazily, trying to get those big shiny numbers, you should be doing your normal rotation. So obviously Cleave, 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 Whirlwind, Blood first, Slam, Cleave, 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 Cleave. You're spamming Cleave constantly, Whirlwind, Cleave, 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 Blood first, Cleave, Cleave, Cleave. That way you'll get big numbers, and yeah, you should. On mob of AoE packs of 4-5-ish, you will easily top damage meter. No one will come close. Any higher, because you only hit 4 targets with your Whirlwind, you're not gonna beat anybody there. But 4 or 5 targets, you're gonna be flying ahead. Next spell is Intervene. Now it's a defensive spell, but it's very useful for a warrior, especially on fights where you're having to run about, move places, etc, etc, etc. Lich King and Council Hard Mode comes to mind. On Lich King, for example, I rend. I even try and get some more spells in just before he runs into the middle. So I rend as he's running to the middle. Blood first. Whirlwind has additional range to Blood first, so you can be running away and you can still Whirlwind, and it will still go off and it will count as your damage.